Welcome back to Behind the Sign. I am Tim Scheib, and this is going to have nothing to do with real estate, so it's actually behind the sign. This is one of my favorite stories, pretty much of all time with golf, and I'm here to talk to Randy Christiansen. He's a sophomore with Bellevue University Bruins. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Well,
I want to clear something up though, right off of the bat. Junior, because I've got 2 years of eligibility left, it says I'm a sophomore, but I've only got one more year to graduate.
gotcha. Well, we're going to touch on that here at the end, but the old question, are you returning? No. That's a big question these days, isn't it, with everything that's going on with college
Uh,
sports?
it, yeah, I'm an old guy, so transfer portal, it kind of hurts my heart a little bit, especially for the college teams that I support. So
Same here.
it's tough, but it's all a business these days. So
Well, we'll get to all of that, but first, 50 years old, going into your first college season of golf. Tell me how in the world that happened.
life happens up till I'm 50. And, because I had incredible grandparents that brought me into golf at a young age, I've always played somewhat competitively, even if it was just, hitting a drive for some of my buddies because they were surprised that I could hit it as far as I could, at a party or something like that. But I always played at some level in some random tournaments, just try to have some fun. And I'm uber competitive, so it's something that I've always been at least a part of. I played with a really good friend in some scramble tournaments. We happened to be playing, I believe it was the summer of 2024. At a tournament, and this gentleman drives up on a cart that I really didn't know, but later on I found out that he was the Bellevue University golf coach. And my friend and he are very good friends, and I guess he asked about me because he saw me hit some shots. And I noticed throughout that day that coach was showing up a lot more frequently. A lot of times he'd be sitting in the trees or he'd be on the back of a tee box. But at the end of the round, he approached me and said, kind of jokingly, my name's Rob Brown. I hear you have some eligibility left. And I laughed because I had asked who he was and had found out and said, Coach, I'm 50. You don't want me. And his response was, after seeing you play, I absolutely want you. And, 50, those words probably don't hit like they would have when I was 18, but, it's always nice to be wanted, and it's always nice to hear somebody compliment you.
Yeah.
So, I think my response to that was, I have to think about my wife. I have to think about my family. So, I've probably got more cons to discuss than I do pros. And he really just kind of wiped all that away and just said, I'd really like you to come down to my office on Monday and, just have a meeting with me. And I didn't know what to expect, but I came home, told my wife, kind of expected her to, ho hum, like, well, that's great, but, you've got a lot of other responsibilities. And surprisingly, instead, she said, man, if you don't jump on this for every guy that would have an opportunity to do this. And she knows that I didn't play collegiate golf back in, 91, 92 when I went to UNO. So she's known that it's always been a dream, a pipe dream, but a dream. So she supported me right out of the gates. I ended up going down to that meeting and met with coach, and yeah, it was incredible. We've got kids. My wife and I are a modern day Brady bunch.
Hmm.
and her youngest son, I had taken on recruiting visits when he got done with high school for colleges. And I knew what a kind of a full press recruiting visit looked like. And I'm sitting in this office and coach is talking to me about, well, what balls do you use? Because here's some balls, and what size shoes do you wear? Because, here's some FootJoy shoes. And just started talking to me about, what he could do for me as far as classes and finishing my degree. And to be completely honest with you, um, all I was thinking about was how I was going to get to play golf against college age kids and just how incredible that was going to be.
Yeah.
And he brought in a couple of administrators and into the meeting and said, if this guy accepts my offer, I would like you to help me make sure that his classes, his finances, everything that we can offer him is taken care of. And Russ is one of the gentlemen. He looked at me and he just said, "He must be something special because Rob doesn't do this for everybody." And I was like, "Man, you know."
Yeah. Yeah. That's like all I could think about. So we're pretty close to the same age. And all I could think about when he came up to you on that tee box and said, I want you to play golf. And he's like, serious. You're like, Chevy Chase, right? Just wanted just the line where he's like, you're serious. Is he serious? He's serious. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So when you said for all the single age men out there, single age, all the men out there who never got a chance, would dream of that, you got to do it for them. Like what foresight? Because
Yep.
I know when I saw, so little backstory, which you already know, but when I saw your picture in the new auditorium, in the new stadium, in the new whatever you call it, the gymnasium
The
on
field
that
house. Yep.
wall, yep, and that coach was so proud to say, "Oh, that's not the coach; he's a player." I was like, just shocked, and I had my phone, and they all turn around and look at the court, and I'm just like this, like taking a video. I'm like, I'm making a TikTok about this. And sure enough, it was, and honestly, I got back and had kind of forgot about it. I was going through my camera roll and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So I did it. And then your wife messaged me. And it's so crazy how these little apps can get such a far reach and reach so many people. And your story, like I said, is top, to me, it's a top five golf story. It should be out there. And that's why I wanted to have you on here because
Oh,
it's
I
amazing.
I I appreciate it. Because I'm 51 now. I mean, I've got kids that
Mhm.
probably introduced me to some of the social media things, but it was always something you'd hear about. I didn't know about Snap and TikTok and all this other stuff. In fact, I think the first time that I ever got on TikTok was because my kids were in high school and they talked about getting on TikTok. And me being like the grumpy old guy, I was like, okay, I hear some bad things about this.
Mhm.
So I want to find out, I want to be able to see what they're doing.
Yep.
And yeah, learning about, the possibilities of that. And then, and your TikTok was something that really showed me just how far things can reach because, I had people contacting me that day. In fact, I
That's
think I
funny.
was the one that shared it with my wife. Um, it was incredible how many people were messaging me about this TikTok.
Oh,
And you just I then began to get the gist that what you had done had really put my name out there and had really, kind of emphasized what I'm doing here.
well, hopefully we're just getting started. Hopefully we're just getting started here. So let's get to the story of you. You said you had a couple other, like you have six kids, is that right?
Yep, my wife has three and I have three, and her and I were married almost 16 years ago now.
Okay, that's awesome. So now you have other jobs, you have other commitments, you have to take care of that family. Now you're playing college golf. How does that give me a snapshot of what that looks like?
Probably, being 51, the toughest thing about this is that aspect, is trying to juggle everything and keep the priorities where they should be. Um, we've got our little farm out here, and I've got financial responsibilities that you can't turn a blind eye to. So my family operates a mechanical service company. Back when I was in my early 20s, although I kind of fought it, I became a union steam fitter in Omaha. And that really gave me an opportunity not only to make good money, but to go to school after I'd walked away from college the first time, to go to school and really learn something that would be a career for the rest of my life. So I juggle my work, and I juggle customers, and I juggle their needs, because I don't want to I don't want to take care of people on the bare minimum. I want to give them a lot of value for the good money that they spend on our company. So trying to handle that and take care of people while this opportunity arrives has really been the toughest part of it. I would like to say that I haven't faltered or I haven't failed. There definitely been some hiccups along the way, because we do travel a little bit, and because I have classes that I have to be at, or professors expect me to be at. I would guess I feel like I kind of get some leeway a little bit in class attendance, although I don't miss very much at all. But if I were to reach out to a professor because of a customer issue, my professors are very open to, at least giving me additional work or additional assignments to try to make up time that I'm going to miss, so that, I'm not shorting my education with them, and they're able to then, help me a little bit with my situation.
I would imagine, like, as a professor, you'd have to look at someone who's 50 years old with a successful business. You'd have to look at them and say, I know they're not just pulling my leg and trying to skate through this deal. Like, he didn't go to a party last night and he's not making class because he's hungover. Like, he's
Right.
actually got legit stuff in his life going on, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. So with your business, do you have employees that work there, or is it just a one-man show?
I would run summer projects kind of in rural areas of Nebraska in the summertime. I would try to get myself set up with like a summertime in a school setting where we were doing projects. And then, yes, I would have employees. Honestly, when COVID happened, um, I think the availability of that stopped a little bit just because of the restrictions that they put on contractors to be in place. And then because we're just a small, mom and pop service company, adhering to some of those issues then would have put a lot more responsibility on me to kind of micromanage those jobs, which I was trying to earn my own living outside of those projects for the company. And then my time would go into taking care of the customers and trying to put food on my own table. So I got away from it. We haven't had any projects or any employees since then. And I've just been trying to take on the customers that I have, and encourage growth slightly, but not get outside of, the realm of what I can handle myself.
Right. Right. So with your farm, what do you have crops? Do you have animals? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the story there's kind of a backstory to why we're here, and I'm not sure you and I can talk about that a little more if you'd like. That's going to be a tough conversation, but we have 25 acres of ground out here, just about, I don't know, 15 miles west of Omaha, where we had purchased this in 2018 with one house that was built in 2009. I spent the next year uh, kind of being a general contractor and building another house next door that's also of similar size. We were creating a family compound, a family homestead, if you will, just so that the kids, so the grandkids, so that family members, friends, that everybody kind of had a place to congregate, to be together, to spend time together. Um, since 2018, I've built a large machine shed because having something like a place like this, you need to,
Hmm.
and I'm definitely a tinkerer. So, and the golf room that you see behind me was kind of an afterthought, but in my life, it was something that it was going to bring joy to a work environment, and believe me, it's brought a lot of joy. So we have a couple of horses. We've had other animals over the years that we've lost. A couple of them were rescues. Um, we've got some farm ground or some crop ground that is just brome hay that we use to feed the horses and the donkeys that we used to have. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot to take care of. It's a lot to put together just between my wife and I. But again, it's one of those things that's important to us. So as far as priorities go, it fits in there.
So you say there's a part that's tough to talk about, and I'll leave that up to you if you want to bring it up. But all I know is doing what you're doing right now seems almost like an impossible feat to stay focused on the golf course.
It's tough. It's weird because the guys that I play with, whether it's in leagues or whether we're out having fun, no matter, and believe me, I've had walks in my life that weren't, always the easiest. And sometimes what I was dealing with, my closest friends that I played golf with they would share in it. They would know about it because I was spending time with them. I've had one particular buddy, or probably more than one, say over the years that while we're out golfing, it's amazing that I'm on the phone dealing with what I'm dealing with. And I couldn't hang up the phone because I was still dealing with it, but I could take the phone, set it down on the ground, hit a shot,
Hmm.
pick the phone back up. And before the ball landed or before it went where it was going, I'm back involved in what I'm involved in. But I may have hit a great shot. Like I might have just tucked something next to the pin.
Probably better.
And these guys are just looking around like,
Yeah.
how are you?
It's probably a better shot because you're not thinking about all the tiny little mechanicals in a golf swing and you just get up there. I know my first ball every year is probably my best ball of the year. And then after that, it goes to crap because I'm thinking about, okay, I got to keep my elbow here. You just get up there
Yep,
and you hit it. You just don't think and swing. I think that's the
yep.
most.
It's been tough. I guess if you don't mind, I will get in briefly to kind of what happened. So, my wife's youngest son, the one that I took around to college visits and stuff, ended up playing football in college. And after college, he got his own little painting business where he was subcontracting for builders, and just he was an amazing kid, had a ton of friends, really good looking, good athletic kid. Unfortunately, there was a vehicle accident that happened that took him away from us.
Mm.
So we lost him at that moment. And, it was a lot to deal with back then. My wife to this day, obviously, still has some struggles along with her daughter. It's just, that's a tough event and it's a tough memory. But I look at it like what it did for our family and what it did for our lives is it's incredible. And it's something that we think about all the time. And it feels like, we kind of live our lives differently. Like this situation with my golf, like purchasing the 25 acres and creating a family environment out here probably would not have happened if something like this in our life hadn't have happened, where we decided that we were going to live every moment and every day.
Yeah. That waking up, that like we have one life. And like what you're talking about, being so busy with work and being so busy with the farm, and I have to go play golf and do this and do that. It's all temporary, right?
Yep.
Like you have to have that mind frame like this is my one shot. When it's over, right? Like
Right.
and if it does turn into something greater, then maybe I can escape without one of the other things. Depends on which one can provide for us and the family and bring more joy, right? Like
Right.
you just if you close a door, it never opens. If that door
Yep.
stays closed, I should say, it never opens. Like why not give it a run for the money?
Right.
And
We've got one time and one shot on this earth. There's greater things for us all when it's done, but taking advantage, saying yes to healthy things, to things that build your life or build your family's life, that's what we're all about. I mean, that's why we take chances on some things that, might be a little off the cuff a little bit and might be a little risky. But, I don't ever want to look back like I did my college years and regret not saying yes.
yeah,
So,
that's why you are such a unique story because there's not many people out there, myself included, that would be willing to take that kind of risk. That would be willing to just lay everything on the table and go out and do what you feel you're meant to do.
yeah,
So I applaud you for that because I mean, honestly, like a dream, like you say regrets. I finished up basketball. I had 2 years of basketball at Northern Iowa. And when the coach retired, I was a walk-on. I was probably never going to see the court with this new coach. And I was like, man, I should try out for the basketball or for the golf team. I should try out for the golf team. I knew the golf coach. I was pretty decent at golf, never had any lessons, but I was pretty good back in the day.
yeah,
But I never did it. Like, would it have hurt me just to go out there and play a few rounds for a tryout and see if I made the team?
yeah,
Probably not, but I didn't do it.
yeah,
And now there's no way I would be able to do that today. Like I always joke about it. If I win the lottery, I'm going to put my sole focus on making the senior tour, right? Well, that's if I win the lottery. I mean, you've essentially won the lottery right here.
yeah. It's an opportunity that I don't know that ever would have been, you know, it never would have happened without help. And it would have had to have certain things happen in order for even this help to work out. But, God's blessed me in a lot of ways. And there's really no explanation except that, somebody's looking down on me, and, we've got a few of those.
Yeah.
And the moon's just aligned that this opportunity was there. And, I'm, as long as I can compete and as long as I can add to other people's lives through this experience, then I'm all in. If this was just a gimmick where, you're going to put my name on a roster and I'm not going to qualify, then it's not worth it.
No,
You
that's
know,
not
this
gonna happen.
this has to mean something.
Yep. So you have a unique nickname on the team, right? What do they call you on the team?
If you know something I don't know,
I thought they called you Grandpa or
yeah, no,
what's your Instagram handle?
old guy golfer,
Old guy
I
golf.
think.
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Now, yeah, and that. This is me trying to recall Instagram if I've been on there in the
Right?
last month, but I believe it's old guy golfer or something like that. If there's a grandpa reference, and believe me, the kids have given me a lot of different references over the
I don't
years.
know. There isn't. There isn't. I just must have been in my head. I thought I heard that from your wife or you or somebody.
Um, so my wife may have added that. We have quite a few grandkids.
Do you?
So
Okay.
yeah, so grandpa is something that I'm called every day. And it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe my wife added to that
So
Instagram.
how does that go with how does the relationship with the players go? I mean, do they look
You
at
know,
you as a peer or is
you
it
know, that's a tough it's a tough thing. And I honestly, to hear the truth, that may be something that you would have to get from them. I can tell you exactly how I feel, about them. The guys last year when I first started this, they were definitely reserved in the beginning. Although they were excited for me because, I could play with them, I could compete with them. They gave me a chance at doing this and opened up, their lives to me. And it was incredible. The team aspect last year was pretty solid. We had a couple of guys last year, one being a senior, that it seemed like he would help keep the team together, going to basketball games or going to volleyball games. And they really accepted me, and they also know that if I can play, I'm a teammate. I'm a fellow student athlete. But if I can't play, then I'm probably not doing this. So they accepted me. And honestly, some really good friends. I mean, to be 51 and say, I've got some great friends that are 18 to 23, 24. It sounds a little funny just hearing me say it. But, honestly, last year's team and the guys on this year's team, I've really learned to love these guys, even through, some hard days, some times where, I clash a little bit with the younger guys, just because, my feelings or my approach or their feelings or their approach. But it's amazing how these guys have accepted me. I don't know that when I was their age, if I probably would have been as accepting, but
Yeah.
it's been
They
good.
show you a level of respect that helps that, I would imagine.
Yeah, typically they do.
That's,
The generations are vastly different.
yeah.
So, some ways that they handle things aren't the ways that I handle things, and vice versa. The way that I kind of handle things sometimes isn't the way that, today's kids handle things.
Yeah.
So, there are definitely some differences.
What are some of the what are some of the things that you're getting from this? Like, what are some like perks and bonuses in your life that are a blessing to you for being in the college golf world?
Yeah, gosh, the attention that I get, my name being out there, it's something that, definitely in the beginning, I don't know that I was real comfortable with, just because, you know, I, I'm not real boisterous. I don't, I'm not loud. I don't need the attention, I guess. But I'll tell you what, after a year and a half, I mean, it truly is. It's been kind of an identity changer. A lot of people know me as, the old guy that's playing golf. A lot of people, I think, feel proud to know me, to play golf with me, to be my friend, because of the attention that I've gotten, and I mean in a healthy way, not in a bad way. Um, it's incredible. I love that I've been given this opportunity, and I love that it is showing some success, and it's incredible. Everybody kind of knows around here anyway now, with the help of some media personalities that are friends and people who are doing TikToks, that this is happening and that I'm a part of it, and puts a smile on people's face, and it makes me feel good.
Absolutely. So we talked just briefly on the phone, and you had mentioned that you got an opportunity to play golf in a tournament coming up.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough last year to play in the Nebraska Senior Amateur Tournament here. Um, Really neat thing. I had my son caddying for me that day. It was up in Wayne, Nebraska. He was a Wayne student and loves golf too. So he spent a lot of time on that golf course. Him being my caddy was an unbelievable benefit. He knows the greens. We had a great couple of days and had an incredible couple of rounds, and I was able to win that. With winning that, I was contacted by the United States Golf Association, where they were granting me an exemption through to the final qualifier of this year's 45th U.S. Senior Open. And the final tournament is going to be played in Colorado Springs this year. And I got to choose out of a couple of places to play the final qualifier. And because my son, who caddied for me last year, moved down to Tempe, Arizona, I chose Mesa Country Club in Mesa, Arizona. So I get to go down there with him again for this and take the guy who typically caddies for me and my wife. And, you know, honestly, I've told my friends that they're all welcome, but just for you, I'm going to say that this is a business trip. You know,
Yeah.
I want to go down there and, you know, if it takes lightning to strike, it's going to take a lot of work to prepare me for this. I'm going to give everything to this one opportunity because it might be the only one I have to actually play at, you know, a big time course and a big time situation. And I keep saying that I'm blessed. I'm just blessed.
So you could be, I don't know, I haven't researched it, but you could be the first active college player ever to play in a senior qualifier.
I did not research that, nor did I think about
We'll
that.
have to
But
look
now
into
that you
that,
just,
right?
yeah,
There's a first for
yeah,
everything.
it's crazy.
So tell me a little bit about the university. So I have a daughter that's going to go play volleyball there next year, and our experience has been great. What's your experience been like compared to your college visits with your son and UNO?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, you know, back in '91 when I graduated from Ralston High School, I remember some of the guys talking about the baseball players talking about going to Bellevue
Hmm.
University. And you know, at that time, I knew Bellevue University was there, but it wasn't a place that I sought out because I didn't know anything about it. Those guys went down to Bellevue University and won themselves an NAIA national championship in baseball for Bellevue. So it kind of, you know, it piqued my interest. I played baseball a lot growing up. I played softball until I was probably 40. So I've always enjoyed that. Bellevue University, now that I know about it, Bellevue University is a really incredible school. It is made up, as far as in class, with predominantly student athletes. Um, you know, there are some local kids that go there. Their online presence is incredible. What that president and they have done for that university as far as an online presence is incredible. I think the last number that I heard, and I hope I'm not wrong, is something like 18,000 students just online. Um, so the opportunities that they have for student athletes, with the facilities, with the classes, with the, you know, with, well, like the field house that you were at and did your video, um, it's unbelievable. So the student athletes get some opportunities and get kind of taken care of at that school that I wouldn't expect you would get a lot of places. Um, the faculty that I've had, the professors that I've had, it's, you know, you mentioned earlier about being 51, and it's definitely different, my relationship with them. Um, I think I obviously would connect with the professors a little bit easier than I would some of the students. Um, the professors I've had, I think I've walked out of every class that I've had, and I can consider the professor kind of a friend. You know, we'll talk about things outside of class. I had one that's a big Nebraska football fan and had season tickets. Well, I'm a season ticket holder as well, and we would see each other at games. And he was an incredible man. I would say that my professors have been not only open to me being in their classes and definitely haven't ever looked at it as some kind of a farce, but they've been great. They've been great. I think they've given me fair grades, but I'm doing pretty well. So the students there, just like we had talked about with the golf guys, kind of accepting me. It is unbelievable how all the sports, all the student athletes there. Sure, I got some snickers and maybe even this year, the beginning of this year, when I come back and now you've got some new freshmen coming in, there's some laughs and some finger pointings. But most of the kids there have come up and approached me, or we've had some kind of an interaction, whether it be in class or out of class, where they now know who I am. They know a little bit about me. They've really just become, my school life friends. It's pretty neat, and it's amazing to me having kids. And coaching baseball for as long as I did. I know what kids can be, but I also know both sides of it. That you can have some kids that maybe I don't see eye to eye with because of their generation or my generation. Bellevue University really has some very, very good kids. Today in class, talked to some basketball players that I don't normally interact with a whole heck of a lot, but they were in my class and we had a discussion. And I'll tell you what, it's great to see these three kids that sit next to me and just what good kids they are.
Mhm.
That's probably one of the most impressive things about this whole experience is really seeing, the kids that I would kind of be grumpy and say, oh, this generation,
Yeah,
but
right.
they're really amazing. I mean, they actually are really smart kids and they're just good, genuine kids. So
Well, that's great to hear. Obviously, if I have a daughter going there, I want her to be in a good environment like that. And I think she does fit well with those type of kids. She's responsible, she's smart, she's dedicated, driven.
she's gonna love the volleyball girls. The
I
the volleyball girls are some of my best friends.
She
Really
initially
neat.
was like, I really want to go to a bigger school. I want to play at a bigger school, but I really like that Bellevue coach. And so
Oh,
she was
Trish
holding out, but
is,
she's like, but I really like Trish. I really like that volleyball
yeah,
coach. And she just kept going back to it. And I'm like, well, then what are you waiting for? Just call her and
yeah.
commit.
Trish is unbelievable. I mean, what she does with those teams and how she handles herself. Like I said, I coached. I didn't ever coach at her level, obviously, but um, how she coaches those kids, it's those girls. She does it with a level of professionalism and integrity that is
Mhm.
just, it's so great to see.
Yeah.
So, and she's had a ton of success and been honored for that. So,
Yeah. They did great this year. It was fun watching them
yeah,
in that championship
yeah.
game.
I was there with some of the golf guys and a lot of baseball guys, and we sat front row for all those
Mhm.
games. And, man, what a ride it was. What an incredible tournament they had.
Yep.
And, if you somehow, I wish you could somehow wipe away those last 6 points, seven
I
points.
know. Uh,
It just,
it
I
was,
mean, we were already halfway over the wall to go celebrate with them.
oh, I can only
But
like that. That's the thing about volleyball is it can be that way. We were at state tournament 2 years ago and we were there. We had it, or no, we were getting whooped and we made that battle back and we lost in the last, like, we almost got back there. But those meltdowns in volleyball can happen. And it's just like, what is going on? But it's the most up and down. Well, I guess golf's pretty similar, where you hit one bat, they call it the shanks, right? Don't say that
yep.
word because once you hit one bad shot, they just keep going. But holy smokes, that was a tough one to watch. Felt for,
Yeah, those girls had that adversity and went through that, and again, they handled themselves so well. When, you know, heck, a lot of us and me at that age, I probably would have been pretty fired up, mad that
Mhm.
something like this could have happened. But man, they handled themselves, obviously, sorrowful, but handled themselves like champions. I mean, I think
Yep.
that was one of the texts that I sent out to at least a few of them, and I was like, I don't care whether you guys won that title or not. There are so many of us in that auditorium and people that were watching online or people that are just there to love and support them, back home, that you're going to be champions to us forever.
Yep.
I mean,
And it'll make
Yeah.
them stronger for this season. This next season, I'm sure they're going to have a little bit more
Oh,
fire in them. So,
oh yeah, they will.
okay, just a couple more quick golf things, and then we'll let you get out of here. But so I'm aging. I used to be a long ball hitter. Just can't do it anymore. So
This question always comes up. I know
does
where.
it? Like how does you like are you still able to hit the ball as long as these kids, or is it more you the guy down the middle every time and consistent?
Honestly, I would like to say that I'm the guy that's down the middle consistently all the time, but just like any golfer, I've got those same woes. I will tell you that these kids, and it's not just Bellevue University, but definitely Bellevue University, through strength training, through technology, through just maybe it's overall knowledge of their swings because these kids study everything. They study spin on the ball, they study club head speed, they study all these things and they work on them. They can hit the ball ridiculously far.
Yeah.
I am a guy that if I touch 300, I'm pretty happy. I mean, I can still hit at 300, but I can't tell you that every single that even half of the time I step up to a tee, I'm anticipating or trying to do that. I'm
Right.
trying to hit it. I'm trying to hit it somewhere between 275 and 290, somewhere down the middle of the fairway, or favor a side that keeps me away from trouble or helps my approach to the green. But the old guy mentality is definitely a part of my game where I know there are things that I'm not going to be able to do that these other kids can do with a golf ball. So I'm hoping I play smarter and take notice of, little nuances to give me a better chance to compete with you or beat you.
With age comes patience,
Yeah.
and you got to have it on the golf course.
Oh,
You got to be able,
absolutely.
you got to be able to lay it up once in a while. I still can't do it. I still think I can hit it as far as I used to, but I definitely cannot, not in any way. But so you had a grandpa that encouraged you to play golf. I mean, like we're pretty much in the same boat there. My grandpa was that guy, golfed all the time. I remember as a kid playing with the old Jack Nicklaus Golden Bear clubs. I don't know. So
I remember them. I think I swung some Northwesterns for my first set ever. And I have no idea where my grandpa got those things, but I'll guarantee you that they were probably some shelf of some, discount golf. You don't know whether I was going to like it or love it or hate it or whatever,
yeah.
but yeah, my grandpa, he had some health issues, in his 50s. So probably from the time that I was like 5 or 6, him and grandma would take me to the golf course.
Mhm.
And because grandpa had health issues, he was on disability and he just liked to toil around in a golf cart and swing a club and drag me with him.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I never would have thought how important that was going to be throughout my life.
Hmm.
But if he hadn't have done that, my life definitely wouldn't have been as meaningful, definitely wouldn't have had as many opportunities. But he was such an incredible guy. We ended up losing him pretty early in life, and his wife, my grandmother, she was 4'10". Her nickname was. I hope you edit this part. Um, she was just incredible. Her nickname was Lil Bit, and we are in the Lil Bit Golf Club. That's
Awesome.
this is about her. Those two kept me engaged in golf. Always gave me the opportunity. They'd drive from Elkhorn to Ralston to pick me up from school so that I could be with them on weekends and spend Saturdays listening to Husker football games on an
Yep.
AM radio while we're playing golf and just always being loving and supportive. And, you know, not that my mom wasn't, but, mom worked to provide. That was her one goal in life.
Yep.
So grandma and grandpa kind of got the fun part and just two incredible people. We lost my grandma 3 years ago. She actually moved we talked her into moving from her home in Elkhorn out to live with us the last 3 years of her life.
That's
And yeah, just I can't say enough good things about those people. I mean, again, here's that word blessed. I have been blessed with people in my life, from my mom to my stepdad to my grandparents to both sets of grandparents that always gave me the utmost love and support no matter what I was doing. And I really wish that, they were still alive to see what I get to do now,
Mhm.
not because of what I get to do or what score I can shoot on the course, but just that this is my way of trying to give back a little bit, trying to have relationships with young kids, trying to provide whatever I can for my family while still, getting to live a life that I feel honors them. And yeah, they were
Forget the kids, all the middle-aged
unbelievable.
men. What you're doing for all the middle-aged men. We need to get that story out there. I think I want to try and get you in front of, I told you already, Barstool. And my dream would be to be able to get you on a round of golf with Bryce and DeChambeau in 50. Like
Well, I thought about, you talked about the 50 club or
under
his
50.
goal to shoot 50. And I did some research and saw some of the other guys that he's played with to try to achieve that. Um, I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I'll tell you, I I would give it my best, just like I try to give everything
Yep.
in this life my best. And any opportunities that I get like that, I can tell you the answer is yes. I
Yeah.
mean, I just this is unbelievable. I hope anytime any of these kids or even other dads, I hope it encourages them to step outside of the box a little bit, to do some things. It doesn't have to be golf. It can be anything. Um, it's never too late. You've always got an opportunity as long as there's a breath in your lungs. And the answer is yes.
So I guess one of my ending questions was going to be, if you had to do it all over again, would you? It sounds like I already know the answer. The answer is yes.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. I mean, the biggest thing in all of this, being 51, or one of the big things in this is my body. Trying to keep up with the kids and trying to play the golf, and it's just golf. I mean, we all know that it's just golf, but it's a lot. It's a lot on my back. It's a lot on my joints. I
A
mean,
little
I'm a
more
blue
Advil.
collared guy, so all of that kind of plays into
Yep.
it. Um, but yeah, as long as there's a breath in me, I've got a couple of bottles of extra strength Tylenol.
Yep.
I'll show up. I'll be
So
there. I'll give it what I can.
does that coach make you do the weight training like the other kids?
So that's funny. Last year he said, I don't know if you can do this, but if you can't, just let me know and we'll try to navigate that. But the guys will probably expect you to be right there with them. So last year, all winter long, I lifted the entire time with them. Now, obviously, there's some things that I couldn't do, and my recovery,
Yeah.
to certain days takes a little bit
Yep.
longer. So it was tough, but I grinded through it, and I was there with them. I'd say 99% of the time that we were supposed to be there or we were scheduled to be there. Now, this year, sadly, I'm going to say that this winter, I did not work out but one time with those guys. Now, this year I've had some body issues. I've had some things going on with my back, my lower back, that has prevented me from being able to move in ways that I want to move or swing a golf club the way I want to swing a golf club. But the good thing is that this winter is when I built that golf practice facility for the university. Um, they contacted me about helping them out
Hmm.
because some of the administration and coaches had seen what I built here, and they gifted me an opportunity to help them through that process. So I spent probably from October to mid February building that golf practice facility for him that you saw. So that took a lot of time on top of my business and on top of
Yeah.
everything else. So I kind of skated out of the workouts and the lifting.
Well,
And
maybe it's a future career for you.
well, that, you know what, that would be nice. It, to me, honestly, I think I missed the boat in my career, not being something involved with golf, but I'll never knock what I'm doing because I love what I'm doing, even though that it's blue collar. I love the hard work. I love being a hardworking
Yep.
person. I love bouncing around from customer to customer and never being, set up in the same place for very long. And then I love the challenge of going out and fixing people's problems, fixing their equipment, fixing whatever it is to try to, help them out, put a smile on their face and put money into our business.
Yep.
So,
Well, so when is this qualifier? What's the date?
so we're flying out on the 28th. We will be down in Mesa. I'm hoping to be practicing, living at Mesa Country Club or in a surrounding area, getting accustomed to the different grasses and the different rolls and the heat because it's going to be, I mean, June in Mesa is probably going to be 120 degrees.
Yeah.
And then the tournament is on, I believe it's Monday, June 2nd is the tournament.
Okay.
It's one 18-hole round, one shot at qualifying,
Wow.
and I think the two low rounds get accepted onto Broadmoor Hills in Colorado Springs.
So is there anything we can do to help you out with that?
Well, it makes me uncomfortable to ask for help, just because this is my dream and this is my adventure. I've had some wonderful people in my life have helped out a little bit with some of the costs of doing this. My wife put up a squares, like a raffle, a split the pot, where she's selling squares for $20. We've sold maybe 80 some right now. When we get those boards filled up to 100, then we do a draw to give half of that money back. Just a fundraiser,
So there's
if
not a link
anybody,
or anything?
yeah, well, are you going to ask for it off the top of my head?
You can text it to me. And if you don't, I'll get a hold of your wife.
Yeah,
I'll get it one way or another.
she would love to be a part of helping me out any way she can. So, yeah, that would be great. That every little bit helps, and I'm just trying to financially make it through this, and that's it's a challenge, but
Yep.
either way, I'm doing it. Just so you know,
Yep.
I'll
Once in a
sell
lifetime. Maybe
ice cream
once in a
cones on the
lifetime.
street corner. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe once in a lifetime. It could be,
Yep.
it could lead to more, and I hope it does.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
It would be. It would be. Well, I'm not going to tie up any more of your time. Man, congratulations so far. And I'm going to be able to wish you the best of luck before golf season next year because I'm sure I'll see you at a volleyball game.
Well, yeah, absolutely you will. Like I said, I'm pretty close with the volleyball girls, and there are some incredible players and athletes and people.
Yep.
So you'll definitely see me there. I hope to shake your hand one day. I can't thank you enough for the silly TikTok and just the exposure that you're giving me right now. If it, like I said, if it reaches people and they just, maybe make some decisions in their lives to do some kind of crazy off the wall things, that I'm so happy that it's getting out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Hey, I look forward to meeting you this coming fall, if not before that. I might have something I'll give you a call about later that might be able to get you invited to. So it'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Surprise
Tim,
you with
thank
something a
you.
little special. And I'll be in touch with you guys. And thank you for coming on. Nice to meet you. And
Thanks, Tim.
best of luck in Mesa.
Appreciate it very much.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.